So moving on to the next system, the most crucial change which was done by the Britishers was the permanent settlements. The word itself reveals that there is something which was done permanently. The Britishers, who initially did not concentrate much on the income of the agriculture, later realized that as 80% of the Indians truly depend on agriculture, and if we fix a certain amount of tax on the agricultural revenue, automatically it would be a continuous flow to the economy of the Britishers, and the Britishers need a high investment of input flow in the economy in terms of doing trade and war, which they are in high need. They need to build up their regional and international status in order to maintain their many of the other colonies. And see here, so to have a fixed amount of income generating from them, from that they fixed that the land revenue should be fixed, and as the Britishers could not take care properly, it resulted in the famines continuously before and after the arrival of the Britishers, where thousands of people have lost their lives. So to safeguard themselves and to ensure that most of the people do investments in the agriculture, they fixed the revenue and they entrusted the responsibility that if you develop the agriculture, you can sustain certain amount of income for yourselves. That was the main motto. So they increased the revenue and they also encouraged the crops which are highly needed for them in the Britishers' context. Those are cotton, indigo, sugarcane and wheat. So in this vacant background, the Permanent Settlement Act of 1793 was passed. This is an act which entitles the government of British, or the Government of India Act under the rule by the Britishers, make sure that they have to pay a certain amount of fixed tax, and this will be collected at any cost. There will be no excuse at any point of time. So we have Cornwallis, the then Governor General, taking the initiative and developing the system of the Zamindari system. In this Zamindari system, the Zamindars were given the auction rights for them, and they have to agree to pay a certain amount of fixed rate or the revenue to the government, and they can collect more than that and they can withhold that one. So it's like a ratio of 90% they have to pay to the government and 10% they can withhold it. In this way, the Britishers brought the first time the Revenue Act known as the Zamindari system or the Permanent Settlement Act of 1793. So now moving on to the reality. As the act was passed, the Zamindars could not able to maintain or collect such an amount of high tax and could not pay it in time to the government. So the government used to warn them, and sometimes they used to change the Zamindars very frequently who could not pay the taxes in time. So this brought the instability in the Zamindars and also in the villages. So this caused a serious threat to the company, and they also discovered that most of the Zamindars are not investing in the agricultural sector or to the development of the fields or the irrigation facilities. So what are the other results? What did the British do to overcome this kind of negative impact? What is the other system that was brought into existence? We shall see now. The results of the Permanent Settlement Act of 1793. What happened? See here. The Zamindars sold out their rights to the company. Most of the Zamindars could not withstand for the 90% of the tax which is compulsory to pay to the company. So they in turn could not maintain it, and many of them have failed. If you don't pay by yourself back, automatically the company will change the Zamindars. So in order to maintain their own status and respect in the society, most of the Zamindars have sold out all their rights to the company directly to save themselves. But by 1820s, the entire situation has changed. The entire thing has brought the new scenario into the picture. That's because the price of the grains has increased tremendously. So now, as the act itself states, the income is fixed for the revenue of the taxation of the payment, which means that 90% of the income, whatever you are getting, is fixed and you have to pay for it. So even though these people of Zamindars are getting more amount of income, they could not, the company could not ask them to pay more, because the act itself states it is a fixed payment that should be done. So in the meanwhile term, the Zamindars who started to acquire more and more profits did not show any interest in improving the facilities of the lands, because even they lost many of their lands in the earlier periods, and they in turn used to maintain more number of farmers and they used to give for them for very high rate of interest or rents. The people used to feel very insecure because we don't know at what time they are going to take away their lands, and the situation is very unfamiliar with them because that's a very high rate of interest. They have to work, and in case if they could not work properly, the land will be taken over by the money lenders, because they have to get money from the money lenders to do the investment of buying seeds, doing the other kinds of works which are required for the field to develop. So finally the Britishers understood they have to do more concentration and change the existing acts to ensure to get more income from the farmers. What are the new acts that are framed by the Britishers? We will see now.